Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Irmen.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here, tuning in again. I am just loving all of you followers that are like, I listen every Friday. I can't wait for the podcast to come out. I really appreciate hearing that. And for those of you that are just joining, thank you for being a first-time listener. Okay, today we are going to talk about Nelson's book, Building Your Warehouse of Wealth. And we're going to do a little bit of a chapter study on this one as well, just like I did with Becoming Your Own Banker. And I think it's very important to understand the concept. So many people get caught up in the numbers. And the downside to Becoming Your Own Banker and Farming Without the Bank book and My Life Without the Bank book is that there's numbers in there. That is helpful to a lot of people, but once they see the numbers, they forget about the concept. This is a twofold idea. You can't have one without the other. And there are a lot of agents out there that listen to my podcast and say, oh, I can do that because I listen to her podcast. I've never read Nelson's book. They probably don't even know Warehouse of Wealth exists because they don't do enough research. Yet they're trying to sell somebody a policy. And sell them a policy is all they do. There's no service. There's no thought process around money. I met with a young man that the agent gave him the book. His financial advisor gave him the book. He met with me, and the financial advisor didn't ask him any of the questions that I asked him. Met with another guy the same day, and exact same situation. His agent said, oh my gosh, you're 56 years old. It's too late to buy whole life insurance. It's too expensive. The guy was willing to put in $40,000 of premium a year. Too expensive? You know what? No, it's not too expensive. You're 56. You're young. Too expensive? I might talk about that at 80. Come on, people. Stop listening to the podcast and go get certified if you're an agent. This is about a concept. And why I like Warehouse of Wealth is because there are no numbers. There are no numbers in this book. All Nelson is doing is driving home the concept and getting you to think differently and understand why we think the way we do. And so if you have not gotten Warehouse of Wealth, go to Farming Without the Bank and grab Warehouse of Wealth. It's a wonderful book. Wonderful. And then while you're there, get Becoming Your Own Banker. If you haven't got that one yet, get them both. If you are going to have a policy, if you want to understand the concept, you're going to read them all. I met with a new client 2-3 weeks ago, and he got every book except Warehouse of Wealth. And I said, oh, this is the one you probably should have. And so I met with his son 3 days later, and he had it already. So grab this book as well. So I'm going to talk some about chapter 1. These chapters are very lengthy, unlike Becoming Your Own Banker, where they're like a page and a half. These chapters have a little more content to them, so I don't know that I'll get done with chapter 1, but we're going to talk about it. So he starts out by saying, throughout history, mankind has developed means of improving his standard of living. He built and accumulated wealth and needed a storehouse of his efforts and ideas. Okay, this is why we have the policy. It is a storehouse, and people don't always get that. And so history says that we used gold and silver, and we bartered. And that is what a lot of people are saying today. We need to get rid of the dollar. We need to go back to the gold standard, which I don't completely oppose. But let's be honest, who's going to carry gold around? Y'all don't even carry change around because it's heavy and it's not even real. They put as much plastic in it as they can, I think. So if we want to go back to gold and silver, we have to carry that around. Well, I found this interesting that Nelson talks about the fact that in Virginia, planters deposited their tobacco in public warehouses and received in exchange notes that were not freely negotiable, but also legal tender. I did not know this. And I'll admit, I'm not a big history buff unless it applies to something I want to know. Should I know history? Yes. Is it important? Yes. But it's always been just a little bit boring unless it's about a topic I want to discuss. So there's that. Y'all can beat me up about that later. So this is interesting to me that tobacco was deposited, basically, and then we're going to give you a note. Nelson said that left the door open to one of mankind's basic problems, the propensity to steal. I mean, think about it. We deposit tobacco, we go in, and we get a note. When we deposited tobacco, did they weigh it correctly? Did they give us what it was worth for it? Were they able to steal? We have the same problem today when we take grain to the elevator. That wheat didn't make the cut. That barley didn't make the cut. That durum's not going to make food grade. Oh, that corn isn't going to make food grade. No. The elevator gets to decide, right? But now we are trading. What they did is they traded notes. Instead of going back and selling the tobacco and getting the gold because it was heavy to use, they just used their tobacco note. He says, don't produce anything yourself, which he's talking about the people warehousing the tobacco. Don't produce anything yourself, but just steal what others produce. And there are all kinds of sophisticated ways to steal. That still remains true today. And not just farming, but basically every aspect. The Virginia Act of 1748 is what Nelson was talking about. And then he has a couple quotes in this book. Give a man a gun and he can rob a bank. Give a man a bank and he can rob the world. Wow. It's called fiat money. Jim Trotter said that. Thomas Jefferson said, banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies. Yet, banks are lending money that doesn't exist. Give a man a bank and he can rob the world. We can charge an interest rate on somebody else's money that we lend out. Nelson says that is fraud. If other businesses did that, they would be thrown in jail. They'd be thrown under the jail. Not even in jail. They'd be throwing under the jail. But this has gone on so long that the practice has become normal. People accept it and think nothing of it. They let bankers do their thinking for them. And I say, and they let advisors do their thinking for them. We let the banker tell us what we're going to pay in an interest rate. We let the banker tell us when we can borrow money, when we have to pay it back. We've completely given that up. But we have done the same with our finances. In many cases, we let the banker look at we don't even let them look at our profit and loss statement because we don't have one. We let the banker run our operation because we aren't keeping our books. Because it's become normal in the farming industry to just say, you know what, I'm just going to plant and harvest and let the tax guy prepare them off of all the receipts I give him. And then the banker's going to decide off of my taxes, right? And then when I go to fill out a form at the bank with all of my balance sheet information, I don't have it. I don't really know it. I don't understand how to do it. I don't ask any questions of the banker. I just allow him to tell me what he wants to hear, right? Or what he wants. Why are we doing that? Why are we letting the bank run our operation? Oh, because it's normal. That's why. Why are we putting money into a 401k and an IRA and having advisors tell clients that whole life insurance is bad, yet they don't know anything about it? Absolutely ignorant, but yet we're just listening to them. We just hand money over and allow them to have control. Henry Ford said, "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Henry Ford said that. I do believe that this country is starting to speak out. And what is stopping the revolution is most likely censorship at the moment. People are getting fed up, but it seems like it's just a few. So many still are not opening their eyes to what is happening, which brings us to the problem. Where are you going to warehouse your wealth? Are you going to continue to warehouse that wealth in the bank that is stealing, that is not producing anything, but using what you produce to make more money? They have not produced a thing except an ad. And they've done a good job marketing and kissing your butt to say, "Come deposit your money with me. We will give you free gifts. Come get a loan from us. We will have the lowest interest rate. We will make that payment possible." That's what they've done, to take your money and then lend it to somebody else with an interest rate. If you have money that you're putting in savings, why don't you just lend it to somebody else yourself? Why go to the bank and let them lend it? That's essentially what you're doing. So where do you go warehouse your wealth? Do you want to warehouse your wealth in somebody else's bank? Or do you want to warehouse your wealth where you can use it to be the banker? Nelson says if no one made a loan at a bank, they would have no customers and would have to change their business. Therefore, if you have a loan at a regular commercial bank, then you are part of the problem. So if you deposit money into savings, the bank can lend out 10 times what you deposited at as an interest rate. If you borrow money from the bank and as soon as you make your loan payment, they can again lend 10 times the amount of the payment because it's essentially a deposit to the bank. So they can lend 10 times that amount. So the more loans they have, the better. Many people in this industry, including myself, will say, well, I'm just going to go to the bank and I'm going to get a loan from the bank because that's just a lower interest rate than borrowing from the policy. And I'm going to leverage my dollar. Yep, that's being part of the problem. Absolutely 100%, I am part of the problem because I still have bank loans. Is my goal to get out of the banking system? 100%. I don't care if I have to pay the life insurance company. I don't care if I have to pay them 8% on a loan rate because it's my bank. They cannot turn money 10 times. I get to use it for whatever I want. I have control of it, and I am not part of the problem. What's happening here is that we're all part of the problem. And many of us are not following what Nelson's whole ideal was to starting the infinite banking concept. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve. He wants to get rid of government. We are not helping by using the bank and chasing interest rates. Now, when we're starting out, we're going to have to, right? We have to remember it took Nelson 15 years or 13 years to get away from the bank. He didn't do it overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. But we must recognize the problem and then we can implement the solution. Ludwig von Mises said, "On the American money market today, it is no longer the banks. It is the insurance companies that are the greatest money lenders. And the money of the insurance company is, not legally, but economically, the property of the insured. And practically everybody in the United States is insured in one way or another." So he's not just talking about life insurance companies, but insurance companies in general. Many people do not understand that insurance companies are huge lenders. I have a client that wanted to buy or build a new building. And he said, Mary Jo, I know insurance companies lend money for things like this. Will they lend money? So I called the insurance company. They were very interested. They were not particularly in love with his location, so they turned it down. But had he been in a bigger location, more people, they would have been all over that. They lend money and are huge money lenders, but it is the property of the insured first. This is the basics of infinite banking. And this is what we have forgotten. He says, look at the financial statement of any substantial mutual life insurance company, and you will see that most of the investments are very conservative, like bonds, things that have a guaranteed repayment schedule. Many people will say, well, Mary Jo, what is the insurance company doing with my money? Well, they're most likely going to invest it in bonds or real estate. The insurance companies that I use, especially the one that I use the majority of the time, and I actually probably use them 100% of the time. It's rare for me to use another company, even though there are other companies I'm licensed with. And the reason why is because there is a thing called a vital signs report. This vital signs report allows me to see where the companies are putting money, how they're spending money, and if there is more than 1% of their money in the market, it's a little concerning. The company that I use has less than 0.5% in the market. The majority is bonds and real estate. They're not risky. They want to make sure that they're going to be there 120 years. Not all companies do this. We just saw a company in the last few months demutualize and be bought out by a Canadian company. So some company out of Canada comes and buys a mutual insurance company that demutualizes. Well, when I looked at their vital signs, I've been questioning them for 4 or 5 years already. Why are they investing in so many risky things? How are they still paying really high dividends? Where is this money coming from? Got to be reserves, right? Like all those things are coming up for me as questions. If these companies are not being conservative right now, do I want to warehouse my money there? Probably not, right? Insurance companies are not looking for a high rate of return. They are concerned with stability in the financial world. That is extremely important. And I say it all the time, and I love it when I have clients repeat it because that means they're listening. This is about 3 major things: liquidity, control, and guarantees. That's it. It's that simple. If whatever you're doing cannot meet those 3 criteria, it's not infinite banking, because infinite banking will meet that criteria: liquidity, controls, and guarantees. So not only are insurance companies conservative, and as Ludwig van Mises said, it is a property of the insured. So, as I said, banks can use your money and lend 10 times. Insurance companies cannot do that. What would that do if the majority of us said, you know what, we aren't going to be part of the problem. We're going to borrow from our insurance policy. And guess what? The insurance company does not lend money 10 times. I did a blog post a while back, years ago already, I think, about John Deere Financial. And I found out that John Deere Financial was able to lend 30 times because they are less regulated than a bank. So when y'all are out there complaining about the fact that your John Deere tractor costs too much money, thank John Deere, because they're the ones causing inflation. Turning money, how much fiat money are we going to actually create? And the fact that we are borrowing money against our policy, right? We're not taking money out of the policy. We're borrowing against it, which means that our money is always in there growing because it's used as collateral. And the life insurance, they have a pool of money that they are going to grab the money from, and lend it to you while they allow your money to stay in there. So many people can say, well, I just don't understand that. I don't like that. That's just stupid. Why wouldn't I just use my own money? Okay. And we know who those people are. Well, why would you use your own money? Why wouldn't you borrow from the policy and earn interest at the same time? Because it never actually left the account. It stayed in there, earning compound interest. Larry Wilson said, feelings are facts to those who have them. So when you share this concept with other people and they say you're an idiot, because why would you do that? Is that their fact because they don't know anymore? Is that the fact of the financial advisor to say, this whole concept is bogus? Because why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just go to the bank and borrow money? Because we don't want to be part of the problem. Why not use cash? Because we lose the ability to earn compound interest on it the rest of our life. We didn't leverage our dollar, right? We have lost opportunity cost. That's a big deal. But if we continue to think and continue to let the bank be the norm, we are going to be stuck in this situation for a very, very long time. It's already been 100 years. They've done a really good job of training us to think that that is the way we have to do things. It's not how we have to do things. It's just that we're thinking wrong. And if there's a problem, we can't solve that problem with the same thing that created the problem. The solution cannot be the same thing that created the problem. Is that how they say that? Y'all know what I'm talking about. That has to be different. We have to think differently. And we can't think differently if we keep talking to the same people that think how we think. We can't think differently if we do not put new things in our brain to challenge our thought process, right? If you're farming like you did 60 years ago, we have a problem. If you are still going to the bank and making every generation buy the farm, we have a problem. We are slowly dying because our thought process is awful. We need to change our thought process. We need to evaluate everything that we are doing and why we are doing it. From the way we farm to the way we handle money. There is nothing wrong with reading and educating, and then from there, we get to make that decision. But to not read and educate and then make a decision based on nothing because it's just how it's always been done is not okay. I don't care if you are a farmer or not. My contractors did not build my deck correctly, but this is how I've done it for 30 years. Clearly, they are not deck builders. Did a wonderful job on the house. Had some issues with the deck. They are clearly not deck builders, but this is how I've done it for 30 years. I don't really care. That's not code. Why not do it better? Why not be okay with somebody coming in and saying we could have done better, made it more secure? So many people are not looking at what we can do with our money to make things better, to make things easier, to create cash flow, to create generational wealth. Nope, that's not how dad did it. That's not how grandpa did it. That's not how great grandpa did it. So don't talk to me about it because I am sure they knew best. Well, I'm sure they did. But if you go back and talk to great grandpa, he probably had whole life insurance, just saying. It's all how you think. And that is not even the whole chapter. So we will continue on with the chapter next time. But this has gotten a little bit windy. And so I don't want to make it too long because I myself do not enjoy podcasts that are super, super long. I get bored. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions about any of this. If you have not gotten Warehouse of Wealth, if you've not gotten Farming Without the Bank or Becoming Your Own Banker, go to farmingwithoutthebank.com and you can grab all of them. And there are bundles there. If you go to the store, there are bundles there and you can get bundled prices. Always, always, always let me know if there's anything that I can do. Mary Jo at Without the Bank. And I am happy to help if I can. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.